Welcome back to Streamline Entertainment. It's Marvin speaking. We're just going to get into part two of the exclusive all-tell interview. Daniel Martell talking on the DT show. Let's get straight into this.
Which was I do believe that I was told that's a record for making the first helicopter to a search.
That is pretty impressive. An hour and a half. And the dog.
But they had drones out. They had drones out much quicker than that. They had drones up within the first 30 to 40 minutes, I think.
Oh wow! And how long before the dogs got there?
The dogs came much later. They were there that day, but for the first, I don't know when the dogs actually showed up, but for the first few hours there was no dogs. There was no dogs in the New Glasgow area. We don't even have a canine unit in New Glasgow right now, like in Pictou County. So, and Major Crimes told me that. They said that we don't have a canine unit in Pictou County anymore.
Gotcha.
The house. They belong to Halifax Search and Rescue.
Good deal. And so you weren't allowed to go into the woods. Where were you at during this time?
I was actually back by Mom's RV talking to her, and we were wondering why we couldn't go back into the woods. And then a number of minutes passed. I'd say about 10 to 15 minutes passed, and a guy in military gear, it said Oliver on the back of his on his shirt or vest or whatever you want to refer to it as, or uniform, we'll call it.
Yeah.
He actually said, Daniel, you can go back into the woods. And I actually believe he was later on. He was a canine handler, but I don't know if the dog was there yet at that point.
Understood.
Because I remember seeing him with a canine unit, I'm pretty sure, later on in the search.
And so you were allowed to go back in the woods?
Yeah. And then I immediately jumped the fence, and I was right back into the woods, and I did all the streams that were up behind the house that lead into that little marsh that's actually to the left of the house you showed.
Now, I don't know how true this is. I've heard rumors of this, that at some point you heard a scream and you thought it sounded like the kids. When was
that? That was later on. That would have been, it was still on that same stream path when I was walking up through the woods. I thought I heard a scream, but you have to remember, I had a helicopter right above me. There was drones. There was already people searching at this point. So I don't know if it was actually a child scream or not, but it did sound like a scream, but it could have been somebody yelling for the kids, right?
That's possible too. Yes, 100%.
But it was so hard to tell because the way the helicopter was going, it was going slow and doing. I was like, I almost swear I could feel like the rotor wash that was coming down off of the wind, because sometimes they would go pretty low because the vegetation was pretty dense, because a lot of it's not hardwood, so there's no leaves, right? It's evergreen, so you have trees that are full of needles, so it's much more hard to get a good view from a helicopter through that stuff.
Yeah, no, I can imagine it being very difficult. At any point that first day, did they question you guys at all, as far as maybe perhaps?
Yeah, I actually sat in my mother's vehicle, and Commander of Operations came down from the command center, and me and him sat in there, and we went over some of the stuff we're going over right now. Did you know the kids are going to be home from school that day? Would you have kept the kids home from school that day? What happened in the morning? Did you see the kids that morning? There's a lot of the similar questions you're asking me now.
Yeah, I can imagine so. And that happened that first day. So nighttime comes in. Around what time does the search stop on the first day?
The search doesn't stop on the first day. They go right through the night.
Interesting. And when are you notified about a blanket?
If we're referring to the blanket that was up in the tree, or just the blanket in general.
Well, let's rewind then. So there's been a lot of confusion that you had denied that the blanket in the tree was lilies that ended up being lilies. Was there another blanket that was found out there?
There is actually another blanket. There's a full pink blanket. I was shown a picture of it, splayed out on the ground. Officer Karen Mason showed me that. She was involved in quite a bit of the, just back and forth stuff between the command center and me and Malaya and Mom, and some of the people involved, and just trying to relay information, keep us up to date and stuff like that.
And this pink
And
blanket that they found, was it something that they found close to the house, or
I'm not sure the location where it was found. There was a pink blanket. There was a water bottle. There was a children's T-shirt, and there may have been a sock or socks too, showing me as well. But none of them belonged to Lily's, right? I mean, none of them were Lily's. None of them were Jack's.
do you know if all those items were found at the same place, or were they found throughout?
I'm not sure where they were found. I was just told that, or any of these items, Lily and Jack's, we found them during the search.
Were they photographed together?
No, they were not photographed. They were photographed individually.
Okay, so most likely then they were not found together.
Yeah.
And around what time was this blanket, the full one that didn't belong to them? When was that one found?
That was found. It would have been during the daytime. So because I remember I was actually standing on the front deck when she brought her phone up to show me. So that would have been sometime during the day. So I'm saying between noon and 4 p.m. probably.
So, 4 is when they found the pink blanket that was Lily's. That was a portion of the blanket, correct?
Yeah. I'm not sure on the exact time on that either. It would have to be after 4 because the school bus goes up there around 4 o'clock.
Gotcha. And
because that school bus, it goes up and it actually goes up and turns on my Uncle Ron's house, which is about 500 feet past where the blanket was found.
gotcha.
So, and the bus usually goes up there, and the bus usually makes its way up there around, I don't know, 3:55, between 3:55 and like 4 o'clock.
Did anyone think about checking Uncle Ron's house? That's interesting.
And this bus has cameras, correct?
Yeah, the buses do have cameras. When they looked at the footage from the outside of the buses, the blanket was not there.
Interesting. And it went both directions, correct? It went.
Yeah, they both go both directions. They have multiple buses.
And it was not seen at 3:55, 4 o'clock when the bus passed.
No, they said they did not see it on any camera footage from the buses. So
is the search command from where the blanket was found?
From the piece of Lily's blanket that was found in the tree, the actual command center itself.
Yeah.
It is okay. When you look at Lansdowne Station Road on the map.
Uh-huh.
I'll just wait for you here to set that up, and then we can take a look.
Yeah,
I'll give you the exact location.
So here is. Do you see it?
Yeah. So that is. So Lansdowne Station Road. As soon as you're going up Lansdowne Station Road, you go across a little bridge.
It's this direction.
Lansdowne Station.
Oh, this direction. Okay.
Yeah. So Lansdowne Station Road. There you go over a little tiny bridge.
Okay.
I don't know.
Have I gone too far?
Yeah. It goes right on Lansdowne Station Road. There's a little bridge when you're going down, and then you see. When you're seeing right around that turn there, that's where it is. You just headed on it. Right past that little dirt road there, that little gravel pit dirt road. Yeah.
Why? I'm just curious, but why would they make command so far south of where you guys live? Did they say anything about that by any chance?
I'm not sure the actual reasoning for making it there. I know it's a road they had a long stretch going down that hill, going to the command center, so everyone could park their cars. Because there was hundreds of cars there, Daniel.
Now,
search vehicles. They had to move in, RCMP SUVs and everything, right?
So how long after law enforcement arrived at 1027 did the command post get set up? Was that like the first thing that happened?
I'm not sure. I was actually in the woods for a lot of that, Daniel. So I don't have like a clear time that was set up. Clear time that I could say the setup began or was completed.
So around what time were you notified, and how were you notified about the pink blanket that belonged to Lily?
The pink blanket that belonged to Lily, I wasn't notified at all about that. I was actually told there was a piece of a pink blanket that was found up the road in a tree, and I said, "Piece of a pink blanket." And I put 2 and 2 together. I ran out to the garbage bin, and I seen that there was a hole ripped in the bag. And clearly there was somebody who went into the garbage or something went on with the garbage for a piece of that to be ripped out. Because usually when you look in the garbage bin, Daniel, and you see a garbage bag. Usually it doesn't have a hand-sized hole ripped in the side of it.
It's interesting. Now, the pink
Odd.
blanket, when they told you about it, did they
The thing is he trying to say that someone ripped that garbage bin open to take that blanket out? That's odd. It's really, really bizarre. And why would half of it, or ripped half, end up in a tree up the road?
show you a picture? The
piece of the blanket? No.
Oh, okay.
No.
So they just told you they found a piece, and you went to the garbage bin. And where in the garbage bin was the bag that had the other part of the blanket? Was it towards the top, in the middle,
there was,
bottom?
These were like large industrial sized garbage bags, right?
Okay.
And Mom would always yell at me, don't put so much garbage in one bag, because I would always make the bags like really heavy, right?
Yeah.
And so I had the blanket was in a garbage bag, but there was another garbage bag that was inside, right? So it was like double bagged.
Interesting.
And you could see I keep wanting to say a hole that was ripped in the side from a hand that went down inside of it and pulled something out, but it looked to be like somebody put their hand in there and ripped it out.
This is strange. This is absolutely, we've not heard this before. This is absolutely crazy. It really, really is. But he's the only one who basically takes the rubbish out, because he just admits that.
But the bag, the blanket was still at the bottom of the bag, right? It wasn't pulled all the way out. It wasn't anything like that. So
was the trash bag in the bottom of the can or on top of like all the other trash?
It was the garbage bag. That one big garbage bag. That was like a 60-pound garbage bag, and it was that was the only bag that was in there.
Oh, okay. So there wasn't any other trash on top.
No, there was nothing else piled on top of it or underneath it.
So if somebody opened the bin, that's the first thing that they would see.
Yeah, they would be able to see the pink blanket in there. Yeah.
Yeah. And so it seems like in the documents that it alludes that they showed you guys a picture and that you guys confirmed it. Was that, if you didn't see a picture, do you know if Malaya did?
I'm not sure if she did or not. I have no idea. Because I actually wasn't present at the house very much during the search, because I was just out in the woods searching, man.
Understood.
Like I poured my heart and soul into just searching as hard as I could.
I can imagine. And you're out there searching. Did you find out that night, or was it the next day, about the boot prints?
I actually found out, I think it was the next day. And then when I asked investigators when the boot print was found, they told me they weren't sure on the exact time it was found, but they thought it was found during the middle of the night. Okay.
And I know, and I made a mistake, guys, and I want to premise this was my mistake. I had indicated that this image here was a representation of what they had seen with the bare feet and the footprints. I went back and read my conversation with Daniel, so I just wanted to clarify it. What he said was that this picture, he had problems with it because he couldn't understand why a third person came, but this wasn't something that was shown to him by investigators. Kind of clarify.
That image originally came from Maritime Happenings. Mom actually received it from Malaya. So Malaya sent it to my mother, and then Mom and my brother came home on the ATV from their search, from where they were searching, to talk to Malaya, see what this photo was about. But it was actually Maritime Happening, which originally posted it, and that came from one of the searchers, I guess.
Understood. So it wasn't something that you saw from the investigators or from the search.
No, it wasn't anything like that.
Did they ever tell you that there was 3 prints?
I don't actually remember that, but that picture always just bugged me. And then even if they did tell me there was 3 prints, like, that doesn't make sense to me, Daniel.
Yeah.
I mean, when 2 kids are missing, they don't gain a follower to go missing with.
Right. And here, just to kind of show everybody, this is where the image came from. This is Malaya Brooks, and this was at 10:16 in the morning on May 3rd from Malaya to your mom. Your mom sent me this photo so that we could see that this is where that message came from. Now, the location of the boot prints, it's It's near the pipeline, kind of somewhat in the direction of the pink blanket. If we I wanted to show you this and get your opinion on this. So the blanket was found here. There's a road that leads back up. Now I kind of just did a line here, but there, if you follow this road and you just follow this little path here, it gets you on the pipeline. I mean, sure enough, you're right in the middle between that road that they mentioned. Have you gone down this area yourself throughout any point?
No, I haven't. I haven't done any of that area at that point.
At any point? What about now? Like since they found the boot print and stuff like that? Have you ever gone out here?
Yeah. No.
Now,
I thought that's a lot of that area was just searched with the human remains dog. So all that was just done.
You know, the other weird thing about this though is this is a dirt road, correct?
Where the piece of the blanket was found?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually called the Gordon Summit Road. That actually used to be an actual road that was used quite a bit, but now over the years it was just used for, they used it for logging. There's cutovers up there and stuff like that.
They didn't find any footprints around here, right? Or the blanket?
No, not that I'm aware of, and that's all fresh gravel.
Yeah,
that's all fresh gravel. That whole Lansdowne Road was totally redone. It's all fresh gravel. You would see any footprints that were put on there at that time.
So the second day comes, they tell you about the prints on about the boot prints. What do you think about those boot prints? Who do you think they belong to?
I couldn't tell you. There's a lot of kids in the area. That's what. That's what.
We've
that's
heard
what
that
I kind of
before.
think
That
where
is
they
kids
came
that go
from.
out to
But
play in the
to find
area.
only one boot print, the kids would have had to walk up that hill, and there's a ton of mud there, Daniel. I mean the incline of that hill and that terrain is not easy for children. Just to walk up from the road to that pipeline would have probably taken over an hour. And by that time, the helicopters would have seen them if they were in the woods.
You know, my only problem with that is if there's mud there and it's muddy, if somebody went out there and planted them, where are their footprints?
That is correct too.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, the main portion of the mud is actually on the actual four-wheeler trail that's on the pipeline. All the rest of the pipeline, for 90% of it, it's all just moss and moss and just, grass or a marshy type grass. No. But still, if you're walking along that, your footprints would have left indentations in the grass.
Yeah, I would have thought so. I mean, especially if it's an adult, that's going out there that's heavier than these kids.
Yeah,
you would assume that they would have left some indentions as well. Now, this says here that a police dog handler located the set of footprints. Do you know if that's true? Like, how did they come across the footprints, in your opinion?
I actually heard the footprints were actually found during the middle of the night, and they actually had an untrained bloodhound up in that area. I'm not sure if that's what they're referring to by police dog handler or not, because there were so many dogs out there.
Yeah, I can imagine. And so when is the
but they did tell me they exhausted that whole area. They sent so many searchers in. They sent the dogs in. They exhausted that area for multiple days.
Sounds like to me they done everything they could, the RCMP. Isn't it amazing though how Daniel knows that land, the land around him really, really well?
Yeah. And I know a lot of people might say, oh, well, this is going to your uncle's house. Maybe you planted them. I find it weird. I don't understand why somebody would plant evidence that's leading to the direction of a.
I've never actually seen the actual location of the footprint in real life.
Yeah.
So I told investigators this, and I've never seen the actual blanket hanging in the tree. I've never seen that.
At AJ Bell, we're all about making investing easy. So easy, you can open an award-winning
Gotcha.
So
when is the next day comes? Searchers are out there. How long are searchers in the area searching for Jack and Lily?
For the first initial search, I think it was like 6 or 7 days. I'd have to look at all the actual how many days they were here for, but it was 6 or 7 for the first initial search, and then they came back the next weekend and they did that search as well. And that doesn't include when the dive teams came in. I talked with those guys after they were done finishing Lansdowne Lake and some of the ponds and the streams, and they assured me that there was no evidence that the kids were near any water.
Interesting. And your property, I know it was recently searched with the cadaver dogs.
Yeah.
How many times has it been searched by the search team and the dogs, whether it was the first time they were out there or second, third? How many times?
The amount of times the property was searched was, I can't even put a number on it, Daniel, because it was constantly new people coming in and walking through the property. Like for the whole time, there was just new people coming in. I mean, there's the amount of ribbons I see around. It's in the thousands in Lansdowne.
Gotcha. And so they're coming in, they're searching the property. How long before you're brought into a police station?
I was brought in. I don't remember what day I was brought in because all the days mashed together. Mm-hmm. But I was brought in by 2 investigators that were originally on the case. Yeah. And I haven't seen those guys in a while now. We'll say that.
Yeah.
But those 2 original guys took me in, and we went into the Stellarton detachment, which is in Pictou County, not the major crimes headquarters that's in Bible Hill. Mm-hmm. But I sat in the room with them, and they bought me some food and some coffee, which we know why that was for, right? Collect DNA.
Yeah.
And they never had to ask me for any of that. I was willing to give them everything.
Right.
But yeah, we ran over the timeline the 2 days prior, and I drew them a map of everywhere I went during the search, and also
sounds like to me Daniel's covered everything that he'd done. He's quite detailed. He's very, very smart with landscape and land. I'll give him that.
We just talked about everything that led up to where I was that day, sitting down talking to them.
And was this after that you and Malay were no longer in communication?
Yeah, this was after that, yeah.
Okay. And so did you drive in there on your own? Did they pick you up?
No, they actually drove. Whenever they needed me, they actually came and got me.
Got you.
Because they wanted to know for 100% that I was coming or not, or so they would came and got me. Like I was with them every day for the first, quite a few days. Like I seen them every day. That wasn't my first interrogation though. I wasn't sitting in the Stellarton dispatch or Stellarton department. That was my very first actual audio recording with them. Was the second day of the search before Malaya left. I actually sat in with major crimes officers and we recorded everything that I did and everything I knew so far up there. I mean, up until they were talking to me. And so we actually, during the interrogation at the Stellarton Dispatch, we actually went over a lot of the stuff we already did, just so they could cross-reference, right?
And how long were you out there for at the dispatch?
What was that?
How long did that interview take? Was it a couple of hours?
The original one, sitting in the major crimes van with them, that was about 45 minutes to an hour. And then, but the actual interrogation, if you want to call it, at the Stellarton Dispatch, that one was almost 4 hours.
Jeez, that's extensive. And so you walk in there, they're asking you some questions for 4 hours. Do they ever get accusatory?
No, not at all. I was completely cooperative with them. And I said, like, yeah, we're going to come and get your phone in a few days. Do you want to sign a waiver? And I said, no, I don't even need to sign a waiver. And I threw in my phone.
So when did they pick up your phone? Was it that day?
No, it wasn't that day. It was actually a few days after.
Okay. And how long did they have your phone for?
They had my phone for about a week. And they actually gave me a loaner phone to use while they had my phone. And then they brought my phone back and they realized my little SIM card holder wasn't inside the phone. So they said, I guess we're going to have to go back and get that from the tech guys. So I used the phone for an extra few days while they retrieved my little SIM card holder.
Interesting. And
yeah,
so they had your phone?
I don't know if that was all planned or not, Daniel.
Well, I'm sure they were listening into the things you were saying on that phone they let you borrow.
Yeah. Well, they were free to listen, Daniel. Nothing was going on.
And so you get your phone back. I'm understanding that they went through your text messages, your bank accounts, your
Yep.
locations.
Uh-huh.
What else were they able to access from your phone?
Oh, they got access to everything, Daniel.
Yeah.
I mean, they probably looked. I mean, they had it for over a week, so they could have just looked through everything.
And did they have any questions referencing what they looked through with the phone after they gave it back?
No, they didn't. I didn't question them on it, and they didn't question me. They said, here's your phone back. Everything's good.
And how long was it between the time that they gave you your phone back and the time that you took the polygraph test?
I had my phone.
Oh, okay.
I don't quite remember that. It's hard for me to remember all, because usually I'm not pulling up date to date, right? So
with that, I know you said that, hey, I'm willing to take a polygraph test. I'll answer your questions.
Yeah.
How long from that time that you said, hey, I'll do it? How long was it before you actually sat there in front of the polygraph test?
I'm guessing probably a week, but it felt like longer than that, Daniel. Every day was so long.
I can imagine. Now, kind of transitioning to that polygraph, you go in. Did they give you the questions they were going to ask beforehand?
Yeah, they actually did give us the questions ahead of time. There was actually 5 questions. I don't know why it says in the documents there was 4. There was actually 5 questions they wanted to ask, and then they would throw in questions that they knew that were that you couldn't lie on, right? Like, have you ever lost your temper? Obviously, everybody has lost their temper before, so you can't. And then, but you're going to say that you never lost your temper before, and then they know that's a lie, right?
Yeah.
So they could find your baseline on that. But all my questions centered around the death of the children. Are you an accessory to killing Lily and Jack? Did you murder Lily and Jack? That's all the questions were based on that.
Oh, those are 2. What are the other 3?
What they did was just reword the questions, differently, right?
Did they ask you, like, do you know where they're at?
No.
Oh,
no. They're just all on murder or accessory to murder. Wow. Do you know anything on the murders of Lily and Jack? Are you accessory to killing Lily and Jack? Did you murder Lily and Jack? It's just the same questions, but just the orientation,
just worded a little bit
the wording
differently.
was just changed.
Understood.
But I didn't want questions like that. I said, let's do another polygraph, and that's have all the questions on disappearance, and I want everybody else polygraphed the exact same way.
So you suspect that they didn't ask Malaya about the disappearance aspect?
They wanted to rule out death as quick as possible, because that would narrow everything down. Because if they knew that the children were deceased, that would completely narrow it down. They wouldn't have to ask them on the disappearance.
So you take the polygraph test. Is there any questioning after the polygraph?
No, I actually did 3 polygraphs back to back. It took a total of 3 hours I was there for.
Oh, really? 3
Yeah.
And it was the same questions over and over again?
The same questions over and over and over. And then they showed me a piece of paper at the end, and it said, it showed you all the stuff on the polygraph, and I passed.
That's crazy.
And then after that, I was taken into a separate room, and where I sat with major crimes officers, and we just talked.
And that conversation, what was the basis of it?
Oh, the conversation after the polygraph?
Yeah.
Just chatting with a couple of major crimes officers.
Wasn't about the case in specific?
No, it wasn't about the case at all.
And so, the polygraph test is over. You walk out. How is communication with law enforcement after that?
It definitely improved, but they weren't really hard on me at all, even from the start, because I was so cooperative. You know what I mean? There was a lot of inside jokes, and it was a different experience than I think most people would.
A lot of inside jokes. Sounds like to me he's not taking it that seriously, or the officers he was joking around with are not taking that seriously.
Think of.
Yeah.
They were actually, pretty lenient with me, driving fast in the car on the highway, and them guys throwing jokes out and everything like that. It was a different experience.
Good deal. But as far as the amount of communication, did they, after you took the polygraph test, did they continue to talk to you the same amount, or did that?
Yeah, they continued to talk to me the same amount until about I would say maybe 2 months in. It was after that CBC interview.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? It kind of like tapered off after that. And then in the last month and a half, maybe last month, the officers have only came to, or investigators have only came to me 2 times, once for the human remains dogs and once to get all Lily and Jack's belongings for Malaya.
Yeah, that's kind of indicative of somebody who, if they suspected you, they want to talk to you as much as they possibly can.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They want you to talk as much as you can.
But you have to remember, after my visits with Meadow, I would always stop in at Major Crimes. I mean, I walk into the front desk of the department. I said, Daniel, you can go meet him around back. Go to the back door where Major Crimes headquarters is.
Things with Meadow. How are your visitations going?
My visits with Meadow are going pretty good. There's not really much I can say other than that with all the court stuff. I mean, I don't have another court hearing for almost like 3 months, I think.
I'm going to leave it there. That's part 2, people. Interesting about the blanket. And Daniel was the only one, basically, that takes the rubbish or puts stuff in the rubbish. Well, I wouldn't say the only one, but like I said, it seems like that basically he puts a lot of the rubbish and deals with that, being sort of the man of the house, I'd imagine. He's answered a lot of the questions, to be honest with you, and seems well balanced in what he was saying. I'm not too sure about, like I said, having jokes with the RCMP enforcement, law people. I don't get that, to be honest with you. At the end of the day, it seems like to me they don't obviously see Daniel as a threat or that he did anything to the kids. Definitely interesting to get his viewpoint. What's your view about, obviously, the 2 blankets being found? One of them, half of them in the bin, and it looked like basically that someone had been in that bin. Daniel doesn't seem it was him. Is he getting at that he doesn't think it was any of the family members that took it, his mother or Malaya or anybody else that comes to the property? But why was half of it found in a tree? I found that really, really odd. Let me know what you think, people. This is getting interesting. Thank you. Don't forget to subscribe to Streamline Entertainment and the DT Show. Thank you.